What's up, goons? The boss is back with another episode of Ark Survival Evolved. For today's video, I have something a little different planned. We're going to be giving a tour of my base. That little box we just flew over, the 4 behemoth gates, that's my taming area, and now we're flying over to the main section of my base. I'm kind of waiting for everything to load up. Now this base design is for a mid to late game base, so you'll notice I have not made the transition to metal behemoth gates, which are just outrageously expensive. Now obviously Gigas can be a little bit of a problem with their ability to chew through stone structures, so we decided to fortify this base with some different methods besides metal behemoth gates. Now the first thing you're going to see is the big metal box covered in plants, and all of the stone behemoth gates have plants growing on them too. We use the plant turrets to keep wild Argents at bay so they can't fly over our walls and attack our dinos. And they're also effective at slowing down players and giving you a little bit of a buffer zone around your gates so that when someone comes up to your gate they're being slowed and you have a really good chance of picking them up with the bird. Now the first structure I'm going to show you inside my compound is going to be my greenhouse garden. In order to save Ingram points, I did skip the greenhouse door frame. I only went with walls and ceilings. And because greenhouse structures break really easily with just long neck bullets, I went ahead and did a stone wrap with windows and hatch frames just to keep it a little bit safer. So now the next structure is my dino garage, and we made this because the stone behemoth gates left our dinos too vulnerable to giga attacks. We can keep our flyers and all of our important farming dinos in here, so we're always able to rebuild if we are attacked. Because this is so close to the irrigation for my garden, I've put in an industrial cooker. I've also walled it off behind metal walls to keep it safe, and it also adds a barrier if people do break in from the outside and end up in there. We put our dung beetles inside boxes, although I do have an issue where occasionally they wander out of the box and I have to rip off the door frame, which is why that one's not painted. We got our Phiomia and composting bins we use just to store turds until we can put them in the dung beetles, along with some ankylos, some frogs, a mammoth, and then we have a ramp system that goes up to the top. Up here we store a couple dodicks, and in the top, really useful terror birds. We got some of these guys pumped up on speed. They're insanely fast. They're so useful for getting around the map. They're great for scouting out other people's bases. Now we're going to go up to the top section of the Dino Garage. This is mostly where we store our flyers, our Argents, and our Quetzals, and most of this was built without the Industrial Forge, which is a recent addition. We decided to put it on the second floor since that's usually where we park our Quetzals, and it keeps it out of reach from raiders with just ground dinos. Inside we have a sectioned off generator that powers the 4 turrets in the corners, and those are mainly there to keep rockets from blasting all of our plant turrets. And this entire base does have metal pillars ran up in the 4 corners, as you see, and on the top is a double stacked ceiling like you do in bridge building. And you should be doing this in every building that you build. People love to land on your roofs with birds and throw grenades and go top to bottom raiding. If you're not putting pancaked or double ceilings on the top of your base, you're doing something wrong. Start doing it. Out here in the yard, we keep our Giga, our Brano, a couple of Rexes just because it got too tight in the Dino Garage as we added more dinos, and we keep a bunch of the scrub dinos, sabers, wolves, raptors, just things the guys like to have for fun, but they aren't super important. Over here we keep an Oviraptor, so we have our mate boosted across pretty much the entirety of our dino yard, one being here and one being in the Dino Garage. And this is my base. This is my crowning achievement, and this is why on this server we named ourselves VaulTech. But in order to really do it justice, we need to get a flyer and take an aerial view. So what we've done here is we've built a small, completely metal house, and we've covered the ceilings in vaults, and we've wrapped the entirety of the ground in vaults. And a couple of the vaults on the outside are unlevel, simply because raiders came in and tried to blow them and blew the foundations underneath them and gave up. Now as we come through the maze of front doors, you'll notice there's a turret shooting right down the main entryway, and that'll definitely help to keep rockets, grenades, and people trying to run in with C4 at bay. It'll shoot them down, it'll shoot the players trying to launch or throw them. There are more turrets up there in the ceiling that shoot through this hatch frame down here before you can make this turn. So 4 doors on the entryway. It's a great airlock system, really hard to get through. That's our attic up top. We keep a couple sentry guns up there to fire down in case someone does manage to come in. And it's also a prevention layer in case someone tries to break in on the area on top of the vaults. Behind door number 1 we have our smithy, and almost all of our major crafting stations are behind their own doors, and this has a dual purpose. If you do get in the front section of my base, you have to blow a door to get into each crafting station, all metal. If you do come from the outside, you have to break a vault, then break a metal wall, which puts you into an airlock of 1 crafting station. Then you have to break another metal wall just to get on the inside of my base, before you can realize that everything else is behind more metal. I do keep a light inside the generator room, just an omnidirectional just to kind of give the base some light, and if we do get raided, we do go and turn that off. Back here is our bedroom. This is also our raid staging area. There's a vault right there we can access that has a couple sets of ghillie suit for emergency purposes. We do keep a spare set of riot armor back here with a couple gas grenades just in case we need to mount a defense. Defenders can respawn, close this door before opening the next one, and they've made an airlock where if they do get killed, the raiders can't get straight to our beds. Here we have a refrigerator where we keep some of our vegetables, some of our jerky, some of our eggs, just a little kibble fridge, and we eventually did add another one up here just for raw and cooked meat. Now here's a look into what we've dubbed the attic, and it's mostly just hatches and windows where you can get up here and defend your base if someone is raiding and trying to break inside, or if someone does try to break in the small sections on top of the vault, which hasn't proved very effective for anybody. We keep a set of flak, a long neck, some gas grenades just to do some basic defending with, fire down at people trying to break in through your doors, especially with that hatch frame above the front door. This is a 6x gather server, but the majority of this was built by just 2 players, me and my buddy Epicos. Nash did come in and contribute some too, not to discredit him, but the majority of it was just 2 guys. With that in mind, I know this isn't the biggest base in Ark, or the hardest base to raid, but pound for what we put into it, it's a really strong fort that's not worth blowing up. Just seeing all the vaults on the outside of your base is a great deterrent for raiders, because they know if they want to come raid you, they have to bring a lot of explosives, which takes a lot of farming. We do have some additions planned. We're going to add some small little generator boxes and put some turrets up around some different spots in the base, and maybe even expand a second set of stone gates around these to cover up all the plant turrets on the outside and keep them retained in gates, so that if a Giga Rider does come trying to chew down my gates, I've got a lot more time to go pick him up and feed him to my plants. I hope you enjoyed the tour, and tell me what you think in the comment section.